Well, welcome to another episode of Herbal Medicine 101. I am going to tell you today about one of my favorite herbs. I know I say that a lot, but this is Oregon grape. I have talked about this plant so many times on my podcast, written about it in several of my books, and I wanted to show it to you this week because it is in fruit. First of all, I need to point out, this is an incredibly prickly bush. These leaves are much like holly leaves, but much sharper. That makes it a very popular landscaping plant because you can see like the older foliage, it's this nice yellow color. Then you get this green. A lot of people just plant this like for security purposes around their windows and such. But this plant is extremely medicinal. First of all, this Oregon grape this is a Mahonia variety of the barberry family. All of the Mahonia and Berberis family contain berberine. Berberine is the yellow pigment that is throughout this plant. The root is bright yellow. If I was to pull it up right now and scrape it off, you see it's bright yellow. It's in the entire plant, though. It's in the leaves, it's in the stems, it's in the berries. The berberine is the same substance we find in goldenseal. And in the early part of the country, goldenseal was so popular that it was over-harvested and almost made extinct. It was being used as a remedy for colds and flus, for upset stomach, for appetite, for all kinds of stuff. Okay, berberine is antiseptic. It's got some antiviral properties. It's got, well, I'll get into all the properties in a minute. One thing I want you to know about this plant, this can actually save your life. If you were in the woods and you got a bad cut, puncture wound or something like that, and you were risking infection, find an Oregon grape or a member of the barberry family. There's also a flower called coptis or gold thread, which has berberine, and even some goldenseal if it was an emergency. But this is really far more common because the birds just spread the seeds like crazy through these berries. A lot of people just consider it weedy, actually, because it just grows everywhere. The roots are big, they go deep. It's you'll dig up a part of it. Don't worry if you break the root off. It's just going to grow right back. They're very, very hardy plants. But the antiseptic property of the berberine, that yellow pigment, will disinfect that wound. Also really important, like if you were to get any kind of like urinary tract infection or such as that, berberine, excellent for anything from bladder infection to cystitis. Berberine, excellent for food poisoning, for diarrhea. It's not actually absorbed into the body, so it actually goes through, killing germs and bacteria and all kinds of stuff like that as it goes. Really fantastic. Now let me talk about the berries. One thing about this plant is, let me go ahead and sit it over to the side. Berberine is extremely bitter. It is one of the most bitter substances. The berries actually have this little coating of, see the juice coming out, yeah. I like it. They have this little coating of yeast on them. There is actually enough sugar in this berry that it will be covered in a light blue yeast. When you rub it back, you see that the berry is actually dark reddish purple when ripe. And it has that bright red juice. And usually 2 or 3 seeds. The seeds are fairly small. Let's see if I can get, there we go. Very small. There's 1, 2, 3 seeds. And they also contain berberine. If you were to chew on these, you would taste that bitter flavor. Michael Moore, the herbalist, compared it to a combination of chewing on an aspirin and a vitamin C tablet at the same time. It is definitely an acquired taste. If you eat a lot of dandelions, you use digestive bitters, and you get build up a tolerance for bitters, they're actually quite tasty. And you can make jams and jellies and wines out of these berries. Hard to snack on. But it will be a shock the first time you eat them. It takes a while to get used to that flavor. That one had 4 seeds. Okay, so the berries are actually quite useful, and they're in berry right now. My plan is to go out with about a 5-gallon bucket and just go around and find them in the woods and such, and just fill my bucket full, and come home and press the juice out of them, strain out the seeds and the skins, and maybe make a little bit of Oregon grape wine. You're going to have to add sugar to it, okay? Usually, as bitter as this is, probably a good 3 pounds of sugar per gallon. And then you could use the natural yeast on the skins, but it's going to be more effective, more surefire if you use a wine yeast or even bread yeast and just let it ferment for a month, and that will preserve it, and you can take a sip of this all year. Why would you do that? Well, this is the bitter flavors of this plant stimulate digestion. They're good for the liver. They actually stimulate the liver and help it clear out toxins. Sometimes, okay, when it comes to liver issues, if your liver is weak, you probably don't want to go with a stimulating bitter herb like Oregon grape or gentian or chiretta, okay? You want to go with a more gentle herb like milk thistle or licorice. And in fact, the licorice and the berberine in the Oregon grape will cancel each other out, so you can't use the two at the same time anyway. But licorice root, the real stuff, not candy, has been shown to regenerate liver tissue, even from cirrhosis, and so has milk thistle. And can be used in mushroom poisoning, like from amanita mushrooms, that will really just almost dissolve your liver. Those are really good. This one is really more of a liver stimulant. Because it's a liver stimulant, the liver is very much connected to the skin. This is often one of the herbs that we'll use for eczema and psoriasis, dandruff, because of that. The skin is actually an excretory organ, and the kidneys, as the liver and lungs and skin, are all very closely related. And oftentimes when we work on one, we end up stimulating the entire system, which is not a bad thing at all. This will promote bile production. This will help curb blood sugar spikes. Let me get into all my notes here. Let's see. Good for encouraging appetite, all kinds of gastric issues, weak digestion, to stimulate kidney and gallbladder function, reduces congestion, cattle problems, mucus, in really the entire body. This is really good. Berberine has been used as a mucus reducer and expectorant for a very long time. The root and bark is alterative. That means it kind of gradually brings you back to health. It's considered a blood tonic. Well, it's got tons of vitamin C. So it actually, is a lot of antioxidant qualities there. It's been used, well, let's see, what else? It's diuretic. It helps remove excess fluid from the body. Laxative. It has some laxative properties, and it's a very gentle laxative at that. It's a digestive tonic, as I mentioned. Improves digestion and absorption of vitamins and minerals in your food. It's been used in treatment of psoriasis, syphilis, hemorrhages, and even bloodshot eyes, which is very interesting. Let's see if I got anything else on here I need to mention. No, I think I ran it down pretty well. As I said, it takes a little getting used to the flavor, but this is really, really good for you. And when I talk about one of the herbs that could save your life, I mean, you're in the woods and you get a puncture wound or an animal bite or something, and that thing could get infected and you could die. Well, yeah, you want to use all your first aid knowledge and seek medical treatment if you need it. But if you can grab some Oregon grape and make a quick, strong tea out of it and soak that body part in there, you're probably not going to get an infection. Now, I can't guarantee you won't, but that's what it's traditionally been used for. And I think it's just one of the best herbs there is. If for no other reason, it's everywhere. I mean, there's going to be one member of this family, whether it's Japanese barberry or Oregon grape or English European barberry, that's Berberis vulgaris, I believe. You're going to find one of those growing somewhere because the birds just spread the seeds everywhere. And people do still plant them as landscape plants. And it's just so daggum hardy. Seven Song, the herbalist, he's kind of hippie type guy. I mean, he's not one you would imagine him being out there with his herb basket, being very gentle with everything and just delicately picking his herbs. He actually takes his vehicle and pulls it up to a barberry bush, attaches a chain to his tow hitch, wraps the other end, and just rips the whole thing out of the ground. And that one bush is actually really enough for his entire clinic for probably a year or two. And the bits of root that are left in the ground just grow back. So you can really harvest this one without any major issues as to scarcity or, really having to worry about over harvesting it. It is everywhere. And it's a pretty plant. I mean, this will grow, this little bush here that I keep showing you, if left to itself, would grow 6-7 feet tall and about that far out. And you can make an excellent hedge. I mean, these would definitely keep burglars away from your windows. That is one thorny plant. You do not want to bump into that thing. It'll scratch you up real good. So anyway, y'all, have a great week. And I'll talk to you next time. Hopefully we'll have another herb to discuss next week.